Yeah.
We need to take out the cartels.
Yeah. I totally agree. I totally agree. And that would be okay. So that would be in the lane. Everything that you just said there, Dave, would be in the lane of common sense.
Well,
And
that's where you come to no labels. That's where you come to no labels.
exactly. And that's why we're going to talk about that in just a second. But, I love this quote. Remember the quote, the old quote, there's nothing more uncommon than common sense.
Sense.
Yeah, and so we're in a place where there is some positive, there is some good things happening, and I want to challenge those of you that are watching this out there, because I'll tell you, if you're in a place where you're watching negative news all the time, that's one of the reasons I wanted to have this conversation with Dave. Not only is he a good friend, we've been able to service him and his family in different ways with other companies, but he's got great insight, he's got great wisdom. He's right there on the front lines. He's sharing things and talking about things that, if implemented, make sense. And I think that's the beauty of the process, especially is what you're doing when you go down the idea of no labels. It almost reminds me, before we jump there, Dave, it reminds me of Notre Dame and Penn State. And, one of the things, I'm a Pennsylvania boy at heart, right? So I was a whiteout guy, Penn State, all this stuff. One of the things that I love, and of course, Lou Holtz was a great coach too. But one of the things that I love about those teams is it was not about individuality. It was about the team. It was about working for the team. And it was so much so that they said, hey, we're not going to put your name on the jersey. Now, there's anything wrong with putting your name on the jersey, but it just gives you a different mindset when you're thinking about the fact that I'm going to show up for the team. And with no labels, one of the things that I love is, in a lot of ways, when you look at a lot of these super PACs or some of these other organizations that are kind of funneling people down the path, whether it's the R or the D, Republican, Democrat, they're funneling people down the path, Dave, of this is who we want next because we believe this is the most controllable person because we've done this and this and this and this for this person along the way. And with no labels, they're saying, hey, let's eliminate some of that and let's actually find people that are good for the job. Just like if you were going to go and get a surgery and you were going to get a surgery on your brain because you had a brain tumor, you wouldn't be like, you know what? Give me the doctor that is the most highly funded by organizations, but isn't necessarily the best at what they do. You would want the best person at the job. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about no labels, because I know you're passionate about this. You've been involved in kind of promoting this and pushing this and actively being involved in distributing this conversation. Talk about why this is so important at this time right now in our country, Dave. As divided as we are, there's still reasons for solution.
Right. No Labels was formed in 2010, and I'm one of the national co-founders of No Labels. It was formed to be able to promote bipartisan solutions to large, known, and growing problems, to break the gridlock, if you will. And its philosophy is not left, not right, forward. Progress, not partisanship. Results.
Wait, I want you to stop real quick. You said not left, not right. You said it so fast because you know it, but it's
forward.
Yeah, not left, not right. Did you hear that, folks? Not left, not right, forward. Go ahead.
Correct. And No Labels is the driving force behind creation of something called the Problem Solvers Caucus in the House, which is a formal caucus, 64 members, 32 Democrats, 32 Republicans, who have actively worked together to get things done and break the gridlock on things like the debt ceiling, on the CR, on the infrastructure bill, on the CHIPS Act, on various things. They also supported the formation of something called the bicameral group, which are bipartisan senators and House leaders working together to try to get things done. But the newest thing for No Labels is they see an unprecedented situation where a supermajority of Americans don't want Biden. A supermajority of Americans don't want Trump. A record percentage of Americans believe the country is headed in the wrong direction. A record percentage of Americans believe that the future for our kids and grandkids may not be as good as it has been for us. A record percentage of people are now deemed to be political independents or unaffiliated, like myself. In fact, the latest numbers that I've seen, 48% unaffiliated, 27% Democrat, 25% Republican. So independents are close to overtaking Democrats and Republicans combined. And yet when we see things, people talk about bipartisan solutions. They don't talk about nonpartisan solutions because what we have now is, you know, a super majority of the American people are in what I call the sensible center. Center right, center left. I'm center right, okay? That's where you get things done, all right? But a disproportionate amount of the people who represent us in Washington are wingnuts. They're far right, far left. The margins are very close. They don't want to compromise. Compromise is not a bad word, okay?
Right.
You need to have principles and values that you stick with, but you can't always get 100% of what you want. And when you have large known and growing problems, doing nothing is bad. And so that's what it's all about. If you want to find out more about it, it's nolabels.org. And last thing, if and only if there is an opportunity for a third unity ticket option to win in 2024 in the Electoral College, then they will run a third option. We are getting ballot access in all 50 states to be able to provide that as an option. It will only be provided if there's a pathway to victory in the Electoral College. There is today. There may or may not be, you know, in April of 2024, which is when the decision will be made.
What do you think of Kennedy? Last question here. What do you think about Kennedy going independent?
I think Kennedy will take more from Biden than Trump if those are the two nominees, but he will take some from both.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because he's more libertarian. He's more libertarian. But you know, the Kennedy name is very powerful, especially in the Democratic community, especially in the African American.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I mean, I love, listen, a lot of the things, some of the things that he's talking about, again, it goes back to common sense stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, the bad problem with wingnuts is if one of those ends, Dave, break off, boy, it's really hard to unscrew.
Well, the other jet flies off and could do a lot of damage.
Exactly.
You talk about common sense. One of the things that No Labels has done is it's published a common sense booklet. Yes, like Thomas Paine's, all right? Common sense booklet that has 30 issues that are of concern with the American people and a way forward to address those 30 issues. And you can get a copy of that at nolabels.org. And the issue is, you know, we may or may not offer our line to a third unity ticket option. But if we don't, we still have this common sense agenda, which, like the Republicans back in the 90s when they had their Contract for America, and like Ross Perot advocated for when he ran for president, had a major impact on who the next president was and who the next Congress was. And so, you know, that's another thing that we're working on that's very, very worthwhile to check out.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you sharing that. And let's end on a positive note here, Dave. So we've talked about a lot of challenges with our country, and there, you know, anytime there's challenges, we can rise above them. You've given us some great solutions, which I love, and I'm thankful. Listen, from me to you, you know, I've known you now a couple years in different ways, personally, professionally, et cetera. And I want you to know, and I've told you this before, I am thankful for your work. I'm thankful for the work of those ahead of us, we'll call it age-wise, so that way those that are continuing on this journey of growth, you know, can be inspired and really empowered with the fact that it doesn't feel hopeless. I'm a tank half full guy. I've never been a pessimistic guy anyways, but at the end of the day, watching folks like you, as you moved into the retirement space, but really not retiring fully because you're using your mind, you're using your gifts and abilities and access and influence to really be in a place where you're saying, I want to do what I call, and really Dennis Waitley called, plant shade trees under which I'll never sit, by being in a place where I'm actively trying to literally make this country better, focusing on our home front. So what's one positive, exciting thing that you would share with the listeners of the show and the podcast as we're leaving here to say, this is something that I am excited about? Well, and it could be just your pickleball game. I don't know.
No. But for the record, I'm Roman Catholic, so I'm on the Notre Dame side of Penn State, Notre Dame. I'm also an Alabama fan, and we're pretty good too. So, but
yeah.
Look, here's what it comes down to. We have strayed from the principles and values that made this country great. Limited but effective government, individual liberty and opportunity, personal responsibility and accountability, rule of law and equal justice under the law, fiscal responsibility, intergenerational equity. And the key word, stewardship. Stewardship means you don't just do what's good for today. You don't just leave things better off when you leave them when you came. You leave them better positioned for the future, fiscally, environmentally, etc. We are failing on that, but we can turn it around.
Yeah.
And I will continue to fight, not for me, not really for my kids, because I think they'll be okay, for my grandkids. Yes, we can. Yes, we must. And if I have anything to say about it, yes, we will.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, Dave, thanks so much for taking a minute and sharing some of your thoughts on the show today. I really enjoyed that.
Good to be with you, Michael.
Yeah. And hey, listen, guys, we're going to make sure that we have nolabels.org, that site on the investwellshow.com. So if you forget, you want to click on the link of the show, or maybe you're listening via podcast and there's a link there, you can go to the homepage of the show. We're going to have the nolabels.org there. So it'll be real easy for you to access and get access to this place.
It'd be good too, Michael, if you can, to put in, let us vote for FRA.org too. It'd be great.
I'll be happy to do that. And Dave, it's been not only a great friend, again, professional relationship, but just, I'll tell you what I love about him is